Where have today's UFC and the sport of MMA gone to today? Like, where has it gone to today with the champions ducking the contenders, then the other contenders don't want to fight the contender beneath them because they want a title shot? Like, where we at? But, hey, it's your boy DHP, the realest and baddest MMA podcast on the gram. And you know what? I want to have a conversation real quick. This is my second time touching on this topic. And I want to briefly just, have a casual chit chat, see where everybody mind at. Just have a little conversation before we get to the Tatsudo Tada and the Park Hung Sung content, because I'm gonna do day one content tomorrow, and then we're gonna do the preview show for this weekend's fight night card on Friday. But back to the main course of the dish. I made a video about this couple weeks ago or a month ago or whatever, but it is probably gonna be the part 2 of this, because I seen it. And shout out to MMA Pack. I seen a post they made yesterday about this, and it just has UFC gone the boxing route to where a lot of these guys, not that they're making business decisions, but it's almost like boxing oriented, where none of these guys want to fight each other, and they just want to just automatically just go to the top to a title shot. You know what I mean? Like, back in the day, like the UFC in the mid 2000s, even the 2014s up until like the COVID time, really everybody fought like whoever. Of course, obviously they wanted a shot at the belt. They wanted to become UFC champion, but a lot of these guys, they just wanted to fight whoever was ahead of them in the rankings, or whoever was like in the top 5 or top 6 or whatever. They wanted to beat them all and then go get UFC gold. And even now today, you hear somewhat with some of the fighters today where they like, let me get like 1 or 2 more fights and then let me get that title shot. But it seemed like nowadays, and more in specific lightweight, this is all catered to lightweight. You got Justin Gaethje. He don't want to fight Paddy Pimblett. And by the way, I'm gonna put a story up tomorrow for my community. See, who do everybody chooses that's more deserving of a title shot at Topuria, Gaethje, or Paddy, or even Arman Sayukin. Hey, cut it out now. Oh, by the way, we got some more kittens and stuff like that, so you might hear him in the background. But anyway, the things that's going on with lightweight, like Justin Gaethje don't want to fight Paddy. He don't want to fight Arman Sayukin. He wants another crack at the UFC gold, so he want to fight Topuria. Arman, he don't want to fight nobody. He just want to fight Topuria. Paddy, I think Paddy is really like the only guy in the equation that, obviously he wants a shot at Topuria. And I said, matchmaking wise, and by the way, I'm gonna get to this later on too, because I heard what Leroy Murphy said, and it ties everything back into what I'm talking about today. Matchmaking wise, the story is already there for Paddy and Topuria, because out of anybody in that lightweight division, other than obviously Islam, Topuria has real beef with Paddy, and it's been going on for like 2 years now. So with that in mind, and how everything's shaped up, how they paths intertwine again, it's only right that the story's there, the path is there, the way they're going about things is there as well. It's the right time to make that fight. But Paddy, he also stated that he would fight somebody else and then get to the get a shot at UFC gold. But you got lightweight, right? And then you got whatever happened with John and Tom Aspinall, people calling John Jones a duck. And then I'm going to put this on the thumbnail of the picture, but with PFL, you know, Paul Hughes, he took a page out of Tom Aspinall's book, and this was like months ago he did this, and then he brought out the rubber duck when he was in the crowd, and you know, like that. It just made me wonder, like, big picture wise, have the UFC gone too far from its integrity of the sport and it's gone to like the boxing way? And then tie what Leroy Murphy said, where nowadays it's almost WWE wrestling ish, where all you got to do is just be entertaining and just talk some trash, and these niggas would get, you know, fast track and skip over a lot of niggas to get a title shot, like right off the rip. You know, you could be like 6th rank, 7th rank, and you could get, you know, you could jump the line for real. Has it really gone this far off the deep end where it's we're in boxing or in WWE territory where rankings don't even matter no more? Come on, y'all. Yeah, rankings don't even matter no more. Then you got people don't want to fight each other, and so now it clogs up the division. Because that's one of the main problems with boxing. Why, you know, in my personal inner circle, and you know, with some of my other boys, and even what I see online, the atmosphere, and me talking to other people, boxing in a way has turned off, I wouldn't say majority of the fans, but at least like, so like out of percentage, I would say like 35 to 40% of the fan base been turned off because we don't get to see the best fights available. Like we always say in, you know, MMA, more so the brand of UFC, we get the fights we want to see more than boxing get the fights they want to see. Now obviously every now and then they will get a bone thrown to them. Like now, boxing got Canelo and Bud Crawford coming, and stuff like that. But for the most part, it's like pulling teeth. It's pulling teeth to get those fights. In the UFC, we get those fights on the instant. Now we're gonna have to deal with some, you know, mediocre, decent-ish fight night cards in between. But best believe, come pay-per-view time, we definitely gonna get those fights, you know. But I feel like the past like 2 years to this year and a half, it's gone that boxing route where we not getting the best fights available, and some of these contenders, and the best fights available is not always the title fights. Like boxing, that's where it's separated a little bit, because boxing, the title fights that can be made, that's where we say we're not getting the best fight available, because at least 8 times out of 10, because boxing has a lot of sanctioned body. For those that don't watch boxing has a lot of sanctioned bodies and promotions and stuff like that. So a lot of these guys already have their own individual divisional championship belt, so they just coming together for undisputed. Basically how, you know, MMA, UFC, PFL, you know, you have interim. In certain cases, you have the interim and the undisputed, and then those two guys will come together for one title fight. That's how it is for boxing all the time. But for UFC wise, in the MMA world, the best fights available could still be like the number 3 contender going against the number 2 contender, or the number 2 or the number 1 contender going against the number 4 contender. Just how the styles match up, and we not even getting those because, for example, at lightweight, you know, we can have, and I know it's much more, this situation is much more deeper in the surface because of what's going on, but like Topuria, he could fight, and even Topuria got to take some blame because he don't want to fight Arman, and that right there, and this is why I say it's deep in the surface, because Arman messed up to the point where he's in the doghouse, so he's going to, out of anybody that's getting taken the back seat out of this whole triangle cluster that's going on with the title lightweight, Arman's gonna be the one to take the back seat. Now we could have low key exactly how they doing with heavyweight now that John Jones out the picture. We could have like Paddy and Topuria, and then do Justin Gaethje and Arman, or Paddy and Justin Gaethje, and then Topuria and Arman Sayukin, or have Gaethje fight Topuria while Arman fight Paddy. Like, off the rip, I just named like 4 different type of matchups, like 4 to 5 different type of matchups right there. Also, and then you got the guys behind them. Like, now we have BSD and Mauricio Rufy. That's booked for a Paris card. We'll get to that later in the months when that fight is going to happen. But you see what I mean? Like, I just listed like 4 to 5 different matchups within that whole top ranking system right there, because all of them is in the top 6. Topuria is champ. Justin Gaethje still in the top 5. Arman is still number 1. Paddy is number 6, I believe. And then also you got Max Holloway. Now, Max Holloway, he's really the only one. Well, Paddy is too, but Max is the only one that's like, I'll fight whoever. You give me Charlie Olives, and I believe that fight, if they don't go with Dan Hooker and Charlie Olives, more than likely it's going to be Max and Charlie Olives. But, you got the Charlie Olives fight. Then Max said he will fight Arman Sayukin. Now, ranking-wise, if we're going on logic, ranking-wise, Topuria should fight Arman Sayukin, while, honestly, you would have to give Justin his rematch. Run the fight back with Max Holloway, ranking-wise. But you see how I'm able to list all these matchups and stuff like that. Like, none of these guys want to, not that they're, Hunter Campbell, Mick Maynard, Dana White, all them, not that they're thinking about it, but it's kind of like they letting these fighters dictate what they want to do, which is fair to a degree, because if you the A side, you should get majority of the leverage. But at the same time, what are not that what are you gaining, but at what cost? For not only withholding the fans from the best fights available, and also frustration from the fans, and then now you have fans throwing out a lot of unfair opinions and unfair criticism at these fighters. But also, you're holding up a division, especially when some of these young and up-and-coming fighters who's trying to fight their way into ranking. Now everything is getting clustered, because you got the guys that's in the top 5 that don't want to fight each other; they just want to fight for the belt. And then on top of that, I didn't even mention, which I mentioned over and over in the past couple videos, Topuria, they low key might wait to see what Islam do with JDM, and if Islam beat JDM, they might run the Islam and Topuria fight. So even with that situation, we've been knowing about this situation for quite a while. So with that situation, then you got the Gaethje problem, then you got Arman Sayukin, then it seemed like really Paddy and Max Holloway is the only one that's really to fight anybody other than Topuria. But then you got some of these other guys coming in trying to get their ranking in lightweight, and the more they keep winning, the more they're gonna push some of the OGs out the way and then move into that top 6, top 7 range. So it's a lot going on. There's a lot going on. I just want to, once again, this is my second video on this. I just want to bring this awareness, and once again, shout out to MMA Pack. But I just want to bring this topic to a much more of a spotlight awareness, just because I don't want the UFC to go or turn into what boxing has become, where a lot of these guys, they don't want to fight each other just because they want a shot at the belt, or they feel like they're undeserving of a fight. So yeah, man, I can go on and on about this, but I just want to leave it with that, because I feel like there's some, and it starts with the UFC. It starts with the UFC, and I know they did some slimy stuff from what we've been told on like interviews, like back in the day when the fighters come out and say some stuff. I know UFC did some slimy stuff behind the scenes where it's like, damn, they really made them take that fight knowing X, Y, and Z. But at the same time, it comes to a point where they gotta cut out all the BS and just keep. It's more so not running a dictatorship, but more so if you see a weight class getting held up where there's a ton of potential for a lot of good matchmaking fights to be held and ranking progress, then that's when you gotta step in and say, look, this ain't ideal, but we're gonna have to do this to keep the division fresh, to keep the fans satisfied, and to keep everything going. But yeah, man, once again, I just want to bring this to the front light. Make sure y'all tune in to my day one content for the fight night this weekend with Tatsudo Tada and Park Hung Sung. So yeah, man, until that video tomorrow, I'm gonna go ahead and get out of here, man.